and welcome to the DeWarioFreak Abridged Podcast. I'm your host, DeWarioFreak Anthony, and I'm joined by
TheCodingGamer or Miguel.
This is podcast number 28, and in this podcast, we're going to be talking about something no one saw coming. In this podcast, we're going to be talking about how Misty and Brock are returning in the Pokemon Sun and Moon anime. And let me just quickly clarify, they are not going to be recurring characters, we believe not. It seems to be just a 2-episode thing. Now, I'm sure all of you out there already knew this. This is no, we're not trying to give you breaking news here. This has just been humongous for the past, 2 days.
It's like I woke up and it was everywhere. Every single website I checked had it.
I'm sure you guys, if you guys watch me, you probably also watch many other Pokemon YouTube channels, and I assure you, at least one of them has, or at least two of them have already talked about this. There's the very famous poster.
Yeah, it's like this thing just blew up with excitement.
And I think one of the reasons this is blowing up the way it is because the Sun and Moon anime, although there have been fans of it, has been very, very hit or miss.
It has. It's actually created probably the most controversial season.
Probably because of its weird moments sometimes. I mean, just look at how they did with Team Rocket, how they oftentimes have strange faces and stuff. And of course, the art style as a whole, just compare it to the previous season, XYZ. Now, whether or not you like XYZ, it was just a humongous contrast.
Yeah, that's the perfect word, contrast.
It's literally like you went, I don't want to talk about the other season, but it's literally like you went from black to white.
That's a great way to put it.
But anyways, yes, so Misty and Brock, I believe it was a leaked poster, I believe it was.
From a magazine or something.
Yeah, it was from a magazine in Japan, and they will be appearing in Pokemon Sun and Moon episode 42, which will be airing on September 14th in Japan. So 2 weeks into the month of September, it will be airing, and the translated title of the episode from Bulbapedia this is literally what it says: Alola at Kanto, Takashi and Kazuma. Is that right?
Takeshi and Kasumi.
Okay, I can't pronounce Japanese, but that translates roughly to Alola to Kanto, Brock and Misty. Or Misty and Brock, whatever. And basically, as you guys probably have heard, the main plot seems to be that Ash returns to Kanto for some sort of school project, and he happens to meet Misty and Brock. Ironically enough, though, I think when a lot of people think about this episode, they think that it's going to be Ash's first time in Kanto in a bit, but he was in Kanto at this very start of the season. Not physically there, but he started there.
Yeah, actually, that's something I forget a lot, but he was in Kanto, and it's shown in a flashback that he arrived on a plane only a few days earlier, or even maybe a day earlier.
Well, just to clarify, all of Pokemon, this isn't like some sort of spin-off, the Sun and Moon series.
Right.
Some people have thought, maybe because Ash looks different, it's another universe, it's not connected. That, in my opinion, is just some theory driven by hate.
And on top of that, we see things like, for example, Ash is aware of Mega Evolution.
Yes.
This episode's going to bring Mega Evolution more to the forefront in the Sun and Moon anime, but all the stuff that he learned in Kalos is still with him.
Right, but what I was trying to make my point here was he was in Kanto at the very end of XYZ, so it really hasn't been that long since he's been in Kanto.
Right, and it makes sense logically that while he was in Kanto, assuming that it's only to Pewter City, only to Cerulean City, he would probably have met with Misty and Brock, before he left, or just, casually. So maybe this isn't going to be quite a, I haven't seen you in so long. It's more like, we're getting together and having some fun.
It is possible that he met them somewhere along the lines again, but this episode will clarify.
Now, here's an interesting thing to consider. This episode is clearly part of the Sun and Moon series, but will it be heavily tied into it? Or will it be essentially a standalone product? And what I mean by that is, first of all, are any of his friends from Alola coming with him?
I don't think so.
And will we even see them?
Probably not. Maybe just, they cameo in the beginning, but that's about it.
I have a feeling that it's going to be an essentially independent production.
Possibly. Now, that takes us to the next episode, which is Sun and Moon episode 43, which will be airing on September 21st in Japan, probably sometime in, I guess, November in America. This episode is titled Gym Battle, Z-Move versus Mega Evolution. So 2 things about that really quick. One, Mega Evolution in Alola as a whole, anime, games, cards, whatever, has been very forgotten.
the Pokemon company, Game Freak, they have wanted to put Z moves at the forefront.
And a lot of people, including me, did not want to put behind Mega Evolution. So as you probably have seen in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, Mega Evolution is still there. It's making a roaring comeback. But another thing is Gym Battle. And as you know, one of the most controversial things about Alola was that there were no gyms. Many people were upset, angry about that, confused. Me personally, to this day, I don't get the trials and stuff.
It was a logical successor to the just show up and fight and move on and fight and move on and fight. But it did kind of lose the focus. And especially in the anime, where we don't even have the individual trials, really. Yeah. We just have a totem Pokemon and then a kahuna.
Mallow, Sophocles, Lena, Kiawe are not trial captains.
They've all been reduced to just children at school that have their stories. I feel like we have more story for all of them, even like Kiawe, than in the games. But
and it's like, Brock was a gym leader, Misty was a gym leader, Clement was a gym leader. They were all who they were. Now they're not.
To be fair, though, a lot of times you forgot that Misty and Brock were gym leaders.
To be fair, you did.
They were just the characters that showed up every week and went through all of Johto, when they were in Kanto.
Yeah, but to be fair, they were.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, so that leads us to another thing, actually, which, like I said, a lot of people were upset that there were no gyms in Alola, but a very common theory now is that because of Ultra Sun and Moon arriving in November, I believe, they are planning that Ash goes back to Kanto along with gym battles, because you're going to be able to go to Kanto and have gym battles in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. Now, I first heard about this from one of my friends. He floated the idea to me. And at the time, I was thinking, oh, that's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. But literally all over the internet, that is what people are thinking. But one thing to keep in mind is, like, in the Pokemon X and Y anime, Sawyer came from Hoenn, and they had Ash and Serena got their Pokedexes to the Hoenn ones because of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Exactly. But at the same time, I know this is clearly not this year. Most likely it's next year. But we are looking in this generation of Pokemon, the remakes of Diamond and Pearl.
That's true.
So if they do that, of course that will tie into the anime. Really, it seems like they're spending this year focusing on the 20th anniversary. Obviously, we had I Choose You. So now they're just logically tying in Kanto, because that's where it started.
Which that actually leads us to one other thing really quick. The I Choose You not featuring Misty and Brock. Well, Misty and Brock are going to be in the anime instead.
This could have been a potential compromise.
I feel like, as most of you probably know, there was a major backlash for Brock and Misty not being in I Choose You, but the movie was still really well received.
Yes, the movie did excellent in Japan, and I have a feeling that, assuming we kind of, put away the nostalgia glasses, I think it'll do good even in America. I just don't know if it should be marketed as, return to your childhood, when it really isn't that. It's a celebration of the franchise for 20 years. But it's not necessarily a celebration of the first season.
Exactly. Which you just mentioned there, what'd you say? Return to your childhood? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That leads us to another thing, something that many people have again been requesting is that Veronica Taylor, original voice of Ash, returns for Pokemon I Choose You, but that is not going to happen, I don't think.
No, I don't see that logically happening at all.
And I'm pretty sure Bulbapedia lists Sarah Nadoshini as the voice of Ash.
Most likely. I mean,
I Choose You.
Yeah, we always see it's so simple, like, Veronica Taylor's alive. Why can't she do the voice? But you have to realize that Ash as a character, whether we like it or not, is now tied to Sarah Nadoshini. And
if they just swapped it back and forth, it'd be very confusing.
It's confusing, and it's built a character, and it's built a role, and it's built... and on top of that, there's all kinds of things, contracts and all kinds of stuff that's behind the scenes. But while we're at it, we predict, I think, that most likely the voice of Misty in the upcoming English dub would be Michelle Knotts, who currently does Jessie.
Yes, and the reason we also say that is because... I'm going to have to quickly take another look at this really quick, but she voiced Misty. Okay, Michelle Knotts, current voice of Jessie, also voiced Misty after the whole From 4Kids to Pokemon USA.
Right.
So she seems to be the current voice of Misty. And for all the people out there that wanted the original voice of Misty, Rachel Lillis, to return, she actually tweeted about it, partially. She tweeted after seeing the poster for the Pokemon, the Pokemon where Misty and Brock return. She says, "Thanks for sharing this info. As an animation fan, it's cool to see the artwork. It looks really nice." That is probably one of the most depressing tweets I've ever read, because that just means she's basically saying, I'm not going to be it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be Misty.
She kept it so generic, and I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all.
Not one bit.
But she just basically dodged that bullet.
And I also checked Eric Stewart's Twitter, and he did not tweet anything.
So the way I see it is Michelle Knotts, she's still with the show. She's, Jessie in the latest episode. So the fact that she's been Misty a couple times and, she's active, that's probably going to be it right there.
And meanwhile, Bill Rogers, who was the voice of Brock after they went from 4 kids, he did from Advanced Generation episode 145
to the present.
To the last episode. He also did some of the movies. And he did some other roles along the way. His latest appearance, I believe, was some Pokemon or some characters in XY.
Yeah, so he's not doing major roles.
No, definitely not. He did Magikarp Sailman and Diamond and Pearl. He's done some little stuff. He did a TV announcer in XY.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking at his list,
definitely seems to be on the side. But that means he's still fairly active. He's only 1 season behind, or maybe 2, because I'm not sure where episode 90 would fall.
90, that would be... I think that would be XY still.
Yeah, I think.
Like Kalos Quest.
Most likely somewhere
So, I think it's very likely that Bill Rogers will return, but truthfully, if you get Michelle Knotts to do it, or Bill Rogers to do it, that's fine. But every fan wants Eric Stewart to return as Brock and Rachel Lillis to return as Misty. But I honestly don't know how I would feel about that if Veronica Taylor wasn't there. Because I've actually come to very much like Sarah Natasheni as the voice of Ash. I really do.
I think it's a role that she has grown into to a certain degree. I know there's a lot of people that, I was one of them. You grew up with Veronica Taylor, and then you heard the switch.
And it was just, no, I will boycott this forever.
Yeah, you closed the video, you turned off whatever you were watching, and you just left it. And that's where I was. When it transitioned, I dropped the anime, I dropped everything, and I didn't want to continue. But it's once I pushed myself and I started appreciating it, even though it was different, that I realized she actually does a really good Ash, and she does the role well. I still have a lot of complaints with the localization of the show in general, but I don't feel that Sarah Natasheni is contributing to that problem.
It is 100% more than watchable. It's a great experience, actually.
It is. Her Ash, and by extension, a lot of the characters. For example, Bill Rogers' Brock is still actually pretty good.
Yeah. And also, I should probably mention this somewhere along the line, I'm pretty sure the original voice of Misty and probably the original voice of Brock will be returning in the Japanese dub.
Yes, it seems, from what I saw in a forum post, I think the voice of Misty in the Japanese has tweeted that she's going to be doing it.
Okay.
I have no idea about the voice of Brock.
Well, if she does, that's great.
Yeah, and I have no clue where they are currently in the show. The voice of Brock could be doing stuff recently in the show that I'm not aware of.
I'm not aware of that. But yeah, that's pretty much all we wanted to discuss about Misty and Brock. But this does leave one last thing we want to quickly talk about. So, I don't think I need to make this, I need to say this, but it has been very clear that the people who really liked the previous season, XYZ, or as a total XY, they want Serena to return in Alola. That is something that has been popping up everywhere. There was a petition that got, I believe, over 30,000 supporters to get her to go to Alola with Ash, which in retrospect isn't too much, but it's still 30,000 people.
Yeah, that's a lot of attention, even in a small context. For a company to receive that, they have to take it into account.
And whether they did or didn't, Serena did not come to Alola with Ash. Now, the question is, is there really room for Serena to come back into Alola or be in the Sun and Moon series as a whole? Because, I don't know, maybe next Ash needs to go to some project to Hoenn or something.
I feel
is there room for her?
I feel that if they're going to do it, they would have to do it in a context that's fair. Because it really wouldn't be fair to put so much emphasis on Serena when the Sinnoh remakes are there and totally ignore Dawn.
Assuming the Sinnoh remakes do come.
Well, it would probably be a bundled effort just to keep it fair. Because there is no real logic for her to return. Serena just randomly showing up. So if you don't want to completely throw the fan base into, a wild frenzy over this, whether you're a supporter or you're against Serena, there are people like that, or you don't care either way, but it's still going to mess things up if you just randomly drag her out of Hoenn and throw her in there, especially also when it's just going to be for an episode or two.
Yeah.
There's no way she's going to come and join and be part of the school or anything.
Yes.
So...
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there that want that.
Oh, there's a lot of people that want it. And even if it happened, even I would be open to it. Not that I'm, actively promoting something like that, but just simply the idea that would be kind of cool. But there's no way that's going to happen.
I just don't see any... Because, and also another thing to keep in mind is usually when a character returns, that's kind of it for the season. Or even the series.
Right, that's true.
I don't mean the series, I mean Pokemon the anime series, I mean the series. It's in Diamond and Pearl, the series.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had multiple traveling companions return in separate instances, right?
Yeah, I don't think we've ever had, Ash is in, for example, obviously this doesn't happen, but he's in Kalos. Oh, hey, check it out, Max comes back. And then, oh, hey, check it out, Iris comes back as well.
Exactly.
Or, hey, Misty and Brock are in Kalos. No, that's not happening. Kalos, whatever. So, yeah, I'm going to say likely chances of Serena actually appearing this season. Beforehand, I actually had about a 4 out of 10, with 10 being, yes, she's going to appear, 0 being no.
Exactly.
But now I'm going to put it about a 1.
I feel that she doesn't have a reason to come back yet. I know, the fan base... I think
she will come back.
I feel she will. She will, most likely. But as of right now, I don't see much motivation to bring her back. We're celebrating 20 years. Next year, we're going to be celebrating Sinnoh, which,
hopefully.
Hopefully.
Unless Game Freak forgets us.
Yeah. Okay. That's tied to Dawn, so we may be seeing stuff with her. Or at least, mentioning her, but...
Truthfully, I know everyone wants Serena to come back, but I just don't see a reason for her to. It would really just be upon request of the fans.
At least not for 2 generations. Once we're doing Kalos remakes, and you want to go back to Kalos or something, experience the magic of XY all over again. But for now, I think it's best to just put that to rest. I'm not, dissing the character of Serena or anything.
No. By no means, and by all means, continue with the Amour shipping. But
yeah, that's
it's
fine,
just...
But let's be realistic.
Yeah, because we've all read way too many comments or opinions by Amour shippers and people who want Serena to return with a unrealistic fantasy.
Exactly. I like, I've wanted characters to return many times, but let's be realistic. Until there's the motivation, the context, and everything, it's better to just see what happens.
Well, they have the motivation.
You need the context, I guess. That's a better word. You need to have the game that you tie in, because you have to remember, this is a show designed to sell Pokemon. And that's all it is.
Of course, whether or not they actually play and watch it, remember, this is a show targeted for kids. And how many average kids are going to actually know these characters?
Yeah, I know. I'm
sure most of you watching out there, I have no idea who or what gender, how old you are, stuff like that. I have no idea about that. Any idea of that about you, excuse me. But you probably know all the characters. You probably do, or at least have a general idea.
Right.
However, some random kid just watching Pokemon on TV that doesn't know Pokemon just says, oh, I've kind of heard of it. He will have no idea.
Exactly. And
they need to make sure it appeals to him as well.
It's actually kind of interesting that they're grabbing characters so, for lack of a better word, ancient.
Except, while that is true, the only real reason they can do that is because, like when we saw the Fine Brothers, when they did Kids React to Pokemon, even though most of that, I think they were naming a lot of the XY Black and White or something, but or Diamond and Pearl, something in there, because that's what they grew up. They all knew Misty and Brock.
That's
true. They all knew the original Pokemon. You know,
that's true. It's one of the most iconic character sets ever.
It's probably why any parents that know Pokemon even slightly probably think Misty and Brock. They'll probably be confused when they take their kids to the theaters to see Pokemon I Choose You, which is coming in theaters to America, very limited run. I actually haven't addressed that.
And it's almost too late to address it unless we get better details, but...
Yeah, but it's going to be appearing in a couple cities in America. Unfortunately, not mine, so I won't be attending it. It will probably, if I had to make a guess, it'll probably be appearing on TV shortly thereafter.
Usually, movies have debuted on TV a couple days after their minimal theatrical runs.
Yeah, and I believe it is also going to be in a few, literally just five cities in Canada. I'm not kidding about that. Canada's going to have a very limited run.
Yeah, but, well, it's limited enough, but...
It might
to
have
anyone who can
in the
see it,
Kingdom.
If you can see it, go see it. That's gonna be great.
You are more privileged than me because it's not in my city. But anyways, this has literally extended further enough than it needs to, because Anyways, though, if you like what you saw, don't forget to leave a like. Go ahead and comment below what you think about Misty and Brock returning, your theories, your whatever, and make sure you let us know who you want to see return, and what do you think of Pokemon I Choose You, also while we're at it. Because that is definitely something interesting to talk about. So anyways, though, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so you can see when my videos come out. And have you noticed every YouTuber has been saying that these days?
Yeah, it's a new thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it needs to be explained anymore.
Yeah. Anyways, though, this is DeWarioFreak signing off, and...
TheCodingGamer.
Yeah, I almost forgot you. But anyways, this is DeWarioFreak signing off. Have a great day.